Aaron Donald hasn't played a snap since January 2024. And right now, the team with the best Super Bowl odds in football is building two different rosters because he still won't say yes or no. Sean McVay confirmed it this week. One 53-man roster with Donald, one without him, and the clock runs out Sunday at 6 p.m. Let's get into it because this is the strangest roster situation in the league right now. McVay stood in front of reporters in Woodland Hills on Tuesday and said it out loud. The Rams have drawn up two separate 53-man rosters. One version has Aaron Donald on it. The other one doesn't. Same 53 slots, two completely different defensive fronts. And nobody inside that building knows which file they're actually sending to the league office. His framing was blunt. They looked at a 53 with him, and a 53 not including him, and whenever the decision comes, they have plans either way. He added that if Donald decides he wants to do this, the very next conversation is about the ramp-up. What does it look like? And when does he realistically start making an impact? And McVay admitted the Rams have needed fluidity and flexibility all summer, staying one day at a time. That's a head coach telling you he has no control over the biggest defensive question of his season. The deadline, though, has no flexibility at all because the league moved cut-down day this year. It used to land on the Tuesday after the final preseason weekend. Not anymore. Every team has to be at 53 by 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, August 30th. That's 37 cuts per team, and more than 1,000 players changing status league-wide inside about 48 hours. The Rams close the preseason against the Chargers, then get roughly 2 days to file paperwork that could shape their entire year. And somewhere in the middle of that, a future Hall of Fame defensive tackle is still deciding whether he wants to strap the pads back on. So how did we get here? Rewind to June 1st. The Rams pulled off the loudest trade of the offseason, shipping Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 second, and a 2029 third to Cleveland for Myles Garrett, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, the man who just broke the single-season sack record with 23. Before that day, no team had ever successfully traded for a reigning Defensive Player of the Year, and understand why they did it. The Rams went 12-5 last season, and their year ended in the final minutes of the NFC Championship game in Seattle, one win short of the Super Bowl against the eventual champions. Matthew Stafford won MVP at 38. They'd already traded for Trent McDuffie and signed Jalen Watson away from Kansas City. This is a front office that looked at its window and stopped pretending it was open forever. Less than 24 hours after the Garrett trade, the Donald rumors started, and instead of killing them, Donald poured gasoline on the fire. He admitted he was flirting with the idea, and he named the reason everyone in Los Angeles is fixated on. The Super Bowl is being played at SoFi Stadium this season, Donald's old building, the same field where he sealed a championship in February 2022. Sit with that setup for a second. A generational interior rusher at 35, watching his old team acquire the best edge rusher alive, with the title game scheduled inside his own stadium. If you were ever going to come out of retirement, that's the script you'd write. And he hasn't just been talking, he's been building toward it. Donald ran a workout with the Rams in mid-July. Then on August 5th, he did something that actually hit the league transaction wire. He worked out at the team's Woodland Hills facility in a helmet, using Rams equipment, which forced the club to report it. No pads, but a helmet. That's a man checking whether the contact still feels right. McVay called it the best tryout the franchise has ever had. He said, Donald looked great, and that the two of them talk almost every day. Then Donald did it again on August 16th, the day after the preseason opener against Kansas City. Another official workout on the wire, and within the last week, his longtime Pittsburgh trainer posted footage of Donald ripping through football drills at the Rams facility, captioned with a line about getting locked in for the season, 3 workouts, and a training video. Nobody does that at 35 for fun. Now let's talk about the part nobody in Los Angeles wants to say into a microphone: the money. When Donald walked away after the 2023 season, he had 1 year and roughly $30 million left on his contract. That deal didn't disappear. It froze. He's still technically Rams property, which means he can't shop himself anywhere else, and Los Angeles has an awkward number sitting on the table. The Rams have somewhere between $15 and $19 million in open cap space, depending on whose accounting you trust. Writing a $30 million check to a 35-year-old who hasn't taken a live snap in 2.5 years is a completely different conversation than paying prime Donald. Reporting around the league this week suggested the financial piece has become a genuine factor in the timeline. The blunt version is that Donald isn't ending a comfortable retirement to play for free. Now, Les Snead is one of the most creative cap operators in the sport. Restructure Davante Adams, and you clear roughly $11 million. Touch Alaric Jackson's deal, and that's another 9. Add void years and push the charges into future seasons. The Rams can make this work, but somebody has to move first on the number. Then there's the roster squeeze, and this is where real careers get decided. Kobie Turner, Poona Ford, Braden Fiske, and Tyler Davis are locked into that interior rotation. That's 4 spots accounted for. Add Donald, and a young defensive tackle who earned a job over 5 weeks of camp gets a call he never saw coming. McVay hinted at a workaround, mentioning potential roster exemptions the team has been discussing, which is coach speak for "we're trying to keep everybody." There's a structural piece too. Donald sits on the reserve retired list, so he faces a formal reinstatement process, and the Rams would open a practice window and ramp him up before activating him. The internal target that's been floated is 30 to 40 snaps against San Francisco. That's a rotational starter with a real plan attached. Now let's talk actual football, because the roster math is only half of why this matters. Aaron Donald in his prime was the most double-teamed interior player of his generation. Offenses built entire protection plans around him, and everyone else on that front ate because of it. Now imagine that problem lining up next to Myles Garrett. You cannot slide your line toward Garrett and chip Donald on the same snap. McVay's plan is to land the day before and fly out immediately after. That is a rough trip to build a comeback around. But if Donald misses week 1, nothing is over. He can let this ride all the way to the Tuesday after week 13. The reinstatement deadline off the retired list. That path would drop him onto the field right around the first Seattle showdown in Week 15 against the defending champions in the division, with the Rams chasing a Lombardi in their own house. So here's where I land. The Rams aren't sweating this because they're already the betting favorite without him, sitting around plus 550 with nobody else in football under plus 1,000. Donald isn't desperate either because he already owns the ring, the 3 Defensive Player of the Year trophies and 111 career sacks. Neither side has a reason to blink first. That's exactly why Sunday tells us more than any press conference has all month. Whichever 53, the Rams file will show you what they actually believe is coming. Davi.